Good morning, everyone. All right, so a lot of you were able to complete your quizzes yesterday, and I know you were able to get your immediate scores. Those were something that went into the gradebook, as well as benchmarks. So if you're looking at your grade for the second marking period, some of you already have zeros, mostly because the benchmark essays were already marked as missing. And then, of course, if you haven't completed the quiz, then you don't have that grade. And then I know those of you that scored maybe less than a 70, you're a little nervous about being able to redo that. Once I have everybody's assessments, I will consider letting people redo it. But until then, no, it's not going to happen right now. So let's encourage each other to make sure that those quizzes get done. Okay, so today we're going to take a little break from Tacos in Space or Taco USA. They're the same article. And we're going to talk a little bit about the PQE method for looking how to use text evidence in a response. A lot of us struggle with this because, number one, we don't even use complete sentences, or two, we just kind of throw a quote. We don't really necessarily know how to put those things together. So if you click on the supporting ideas with text evidence, this is a notes page that I recommend downloading because your Nearpod lesson is going to go through something very similar with a different text and response, okay? So I would have this up in a new window, especially because there's going to be a section where you're going to complete your own response where you have to incorporate text evidence, and I'm going to look for this particular method. So the PQE method stands for point, quote, and explanation. And so this is an excerpt from Names or Nombres, which is a personal narrative essay by Julia Alvarez. And so you'll see on the left-hand side is the excerpt, and on the right-hand side is the analysis of the text using the evidence. And so text evidence basically means using someone else's words to support a point you are making in your writing. It makes your writing credible, okay? So the first part is the point. You need to make a point of your own. Okay, it's your own idea or insight. It also could be necessarily your opinion or your answer depending upon the prompt. This part is in your own words. Okay, you have to put all that in your own words. So, like it says down here in the notes, the point you make depends upon your own purpose for writing. For example, it might be one of your supporting arguments in a persuasive essay, or a requirement of text analysis that's specifically asked for in the prompt, as I mentioned. So you're going to go through and just read this excerpt really quick, look at this example response, then you're going to go through each of the notes, okay? I will post a video that one of our team members, Ms. Pareshnev, she made based on this particular lesson, and it's wonderful. She goes through and gives you lots of different examples. She goes through the notes on the bottom. These notes in orange are something you probably want to write down or you want to make sure that you use. And so this is what you're going to see in terms of your Nearpod lesson. You will have something that you'll need to either underline or highlight. Then the last slide in your Nearpod lesson for today will be one where you actually write a short answer. So go through these notes on your own, and then watch the video where she goes through each of these things in detail. Then you're going to click on your Nearpod lesson. This is what verifies your attendance. As you can tell, I have no other question for you today, no other quiz. So if you want to make sure you get your attendance, you need to click on this link that says Nearpod lesson. And she's going to go through in each of the slides. Ms. Pareshnev created a couple of things in here. So you'll type in your name, join the lesson, and it's self-paced. So through each slide, she's got a little recording where she'll take you through it. So you'll notice this looks very similar, but it's just a different text and a different writing prompt, right? So this one says, look at a specific detail. Use at least 2 examples from the excerpt. So she'll take you through this for each of the slides, okay? Then there'll be times in here where you'll have to stop and underline something, okay? And especially based on, each part of the PQE. This one's how to incorporate and embed the evidence. You'll do the same thing, okay? And then once you get to the end, you do have an open-ended question based off Taco USA or Tacos in Space. This is the same article, okay? So you'll need to have your copy of that. I believe I posted that yesterday for you to use, and it should be something that you've already highlighted in your own Google Drive. So there are many ways where you can get this article. It has been posted several times, so there's no excuse as to why you shouldn't have your own copy. So let's make sure we have that ready to go, because your text evidence is specific to that piece. So your short answer question asks you to look at the conclusion of Tacos in Space, and you need to discuss what organizational pattern was most effective. So that goes back to the examples that you looked at yesterday in your quiz, as well as in the Nearpod piece that we looked at on Monday for organizational patterns. So use those notes from the first couple of days this week to go back and help you understand what organizational patterns I'm looking for. And then again, reread the conclusion in your Taco USA text. This one just says support your answer with evidence from the text. So I don't specify one or two. You can find whatever you want. But again, the one thing you're answering is the organizational pattern. So what is being discussed in the conclusion? Is it an effective something? Is it a solution? Is it an additional example? Is it a definition? Is it an advantage of something or a disadvantage? So go back and check those again with your definitions. So I made you a little checklist. Be sure to make a point, right? That's your first sentence. Specify the organizational pattern. In the conclusion, discuss why it was effective. Use a quote. So then you need to include context, location, and attribution. So kind of describe what's going on in that part in the conclusion. Obviously, you'll label that it's in the conclusion, and then attribute to who the author is. And then explain, right, which is that E part of PQE, how the evidence connects to your point. And think about the sentence starters from your notes, which is why I asked you to have this open. Okay, because in the E slides where they talk about explanation, let me get there. Give it a second to load. So in the E section, there are some phrases down here on this particular slide, right? This makes it clear. This emphasizes the author is showing us. And Ms. Parashnev also goes through that in her video, and both the Nearpod lesson as well, if you listen to the instructions on that slide. Okay, so today is really notes heavy. I would definitely have a sheet of notebook paper out that you're taking notes. I would even sketch out some of the graphic organizers that are shown for you in here, and then go through this Nearpod lesson. You need to go through every single slide. It will not allow you to go to the next section until you've completed whatever task, whether it's highlighting something or underlining something or responding to the open-ended question. That is 100 just for completing it, folks. So let's make sure we get that done. Okay, it's a free 100, and it is also guaranteed that you are marked present for your attendance purposes for today. Okay, I realize it's difficult when I'm not on a live Zoom to ask questions. However, those of you with the most questions are most likely not watching videos, or you're just simply not completing assignments. So everybody else, you guys are doing a great job. So make sure you reach out to me if you have any questions. I hope to be back on campus on Friday for live Zoom calls, so that way you can ask questions for the week, double check your grades, all that good stuff. All right, I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.